We turn to Madagascar, where President Andry Rajoelina has said an attempt to seize power illegally and by force is underway in the country. This comes as a faction of soldiers joined thousands of anti-government protesters in the capital. Soldiers based in the outskirts of Antananarivo called on security units to join forces and refuse orders to shoot, rejecting the crackdown on youth-led protests that have hit the Indian Ocean island for more than 2 weeks. The protest was sparked by water and power shortages that have grown into calls for President Rajoelina's resignation. Newly appointed Prime Minister Rufin Rafisambo has said the government remains firm and is ready to collaborate and listen to all forces. Well, let's now bring in Luke Freeman in the capital, Antananarivo. Luke, an army unit says it has taken control of military forces in the country. What can you tell us about the latest developments there?
So, for the last 2 weeks, there have been protests on the streets of Madagascar about the water and electricity situation, which is very, very bad for ordinary Malagasy people living here. That is to say, power cuts of up to 12 hours a day, sometimes more, water only coming on at night in the street stand pumps where people have to queue. And that's created a situation where the young people of Madagascar, the Generation Z, as they call themselves, have come onto the street and have daily been protesting, asking for what they call their basic human rights to water, electricity, and a good education should be respected by the government. After 2 weeks of protests being pushed back by the military police, there was finally an intervention from the army yesterday, who basically sided with the protesters and said we're behind you in the interests of resolving this crisis here in Madagascar.
So, look, how is the situation today in the capital, Antananarivo?
The situation today is calm. It was noteworthy that when the military came into the city, followed by a crowd of jubilant protesters yesterday, the military police, who had been keeping the protesters out of the city centre, disappeared, and allowed the army and the people to come in and protest in the central square of Madagascar, which has historic significance of previous popular revolts, particularly a youth uprising in 1972, after which the square of May the 13th is named. So today, things are calm. On the whole, the people went home quietly last night, having been reassured by the army that things were now under control, that there would be a process of dialogue to take the country forward, and there will be a church service in the city centre this morning, followed by a march from the young people coming in. It all looks fairly peaceful. The different factions of the military and the army, the military police and the police all seem to be agreeing in that there should be a peaceful transition process now, but we've heard nothing from the president himself. So calm here, but only one communique from the president's office denouncing what they call a coup d'etat, but we've heard nothing from the president or where he is.
Tell us about the military coming into the city. Are the protest groups in support of the military actions announced today?
The military protest, the military coming in was about the fact that there was the protests were being repressed by the military police, the gendarmerie. So it was a different army faction which came in and stood behind the protesters. And that's unusual, and that creates tension between different branches of the armed forces. They're very busy now trying to make up those differences, ease those tensions, and create stability in the country.
All right, Luke Freeman joining us there from Antananarivo. Thank you.